My name is Michael Vici, and I'm here with Orange Flood Control. What you're looking at here is a PS Industries sliding flood barrier at the Jersey City Medical Center, where we've installed multiple critical infrastructure flood barriers to protect the hospital. This gate is a sliding gate, which means it doesn't have a hinge on it. So there's a track here, which this gate will slide onto. Now, what I also want to point out, first off, is there is a hardware box that is mounted to the wall in the back here. Before we can do anything, we have to take this pin out, open the clasp. This way, this is a safety device, so no one can come in here and steal our hardware or mess with the flood barrier at all. We have to open this first. We grab our track, which is right here, and we have to rest our track down in order for the gate to slide open to access our hardware. Now, prior to doing that, it's wintertime here in the Northeast. We just had snow come the other day. So at the end of the day, what we're looking at is a cleared area with heat guns, blowers to eliminate all the ice. If you just look in this section here, this whole section was covered in ice just as you're looking at here. So what you need to prepare for, you need to have heat guns available, a generator, some kind of outlets that you can melt the ice that will get stuck in these anchors. So that is piece number one. And what we're going to show you here are what the anchors actually look like. So here's our bigger anchors for our actual flood barrier. You're going to use a standard hex head to remove the plugs. And we like to put them in bags. This way you don't lose them. That's obviously a big problem. And now we're going to remove these smaller ones here. These are for the track. And here you're looking at this, how small the plugs are. Obviously, you don't want to lose those either. You lose those, what can happen is you can have ice, dirt, debris get in here, and then the plug, the actual bolt to bolt everything down will not sit secure, and we'll have to blow those out, suck it out with a vacuum. So to avoid all that, we put the plugs in. This way you don't have to worry about wasting more time. Now that all the plugs are out, we're going to start to install the track. We have a channel here that it sits in first. So you always put the right side in first. And you'll see the grooves together. And once you have that, once you're lined up, you line it with the holes, and naturally you're going to have to adjust it just accordingly. So our holes in the plate match our holes in the ground. Now, what we're going to do, first off, we're not going to bolt everything down yet. What we're going to do, we're just going to slide this lightly forward. Even though it's not secure, we can still slide the gate to get where we need to be. We need to come back here and grab our hardware. Now, we already did this. We have a hole that's right on this side where all this hardware. So at the time of a deployment, you have everything that you need right out here. So you don't need to go anywhere. No one needs to know where it is. It's always permanently mounted here. So now you're just reaching in here and grabbing all the tools, hardware, anything that you need to access this gate is right in here. Once you grab all the hardware out, now you can start securing the track. And again, all you have to do is just slide the sliding gate back a little bit. Like so. Just to alleviate the pressure so the bolts can go in nice and fluently. And now one by one, we will insert each bolt into the correct sleeve anchor that is already in the concrete. What I recommend is never seizing each bolt. We're not going to do it right now just because it gets a little messy. But I would put some never seize on. This way you don't know exactly how long this track is going to be down. So we don't want anything to stick. We don't want anything to stay in place in there. So we want to make sure everything comes out nice and easily. And again, you just use your standard Loctite anti-seize. We have some here. Bostic. Okay. So again, it's just a tube, and you just put a little dab on each bolt before you put them in. And this is standard for all the stainless steel hardware that we have on site here that we've been installing. You can see our hardware here that has the never seize on it. It'll give you like a darkish gray tint, so you know when you have plenty on. This way it prevents anything from seizing up. You don't want to jam these bolts home. All you want to do is just tighten them gingerly until you reach the correct torque. And again, it's not going to take too long. But again, you don't want to over tighten. There's no need. You just want to make sure that it's secure, because again, the doors, the only thing that's going on this is just to slide it closed. This is not a watertight barrier here. This is just to close the actual gate. Our track fully in place, anchored down, and now we have our sill fully in place, anchored down. Now we're going to shut the door and lock it into place. What I would also do at this moment is just to make sure this track is clean. Again, I would get your brush and just clean this off. Makes the door slide a lot easier. Okay, I would make sure these stopper pads are just clean as well. Just wipe them down with a little soapy water. Okay, just to make sure there's no obstructions here. Now we're going to close the door. The way that this door works is there's gasket compression along all four sides of this door. Now, we previously water tested this door above the flood height, past the door. So we obviously proved that it works. So there, I'm not sure if you could see back here, but there is gasket on this side of the door going vertical. And then you're going to have your bottom portion is going to press up against this sill, which is going to seal it from the bottom out. The bottom out, then this is going to press here on this side. The top is going to press along the top. And then the other side is going to compress here. Now you'll see what I mean when I mean compress. When we anchor everything home, send it home with our drill, that's going to compress the gasket here, here, and at the top as well. So it's going to have 4 points of pressure all around the entire opening. We're just going to slide this barrier closed just to show you how easy it is. Okay. So again, you're just sliding it closed as far as you need to go. Now we're not going to fully deploy it yet because we still have another step to do. But I just want to show you how easy it is to slide. Okay. You open it, you just slide it back. Okay. Now we're going to install the actual flood track. You'll see there's two different portions of this. Basically an L-shaped. Your rubber portion needs to be on the bottom, okay? So here's your gasket. This is very vital that you keep this clean, protected. So what we will do before we place it down, we already did it. We just wipe this down nice and gingerly with just soapy water. You don't ever use any detergents on that. Just a regular palm olive soap and water mixture. And you just spray it on, wipe it off. Okay, so you'll see that now our sill is going to sit very tightly in between these two gems. You just work each side until we get full compression on the ground. It should be a little difficult because you want it to be tight against both the bottom and each side. And now these holes will align to the holes that we have into the concrete room. And same process, before you put these bolts in, we're going to put anti-seize on to prevent anything from seizing up and holding tight. This way they're easier to come out, keep the system longevity-wise. Yeah, we're not pushing real hard. Okay, it's going to slide on the track all by itself. Once you hit the stopper, you know you're in the right place. All right, so now we hit our stopper. And with this, it should not move once you're in this open position, even without it being anchored. All right, and you can see the gap that we have in this position. So our bottom is compressed. If you look all the way down at the bottom of the door, and now you go up the door. So there is nothing holding back water from this point. So now you'll see what these anchors are actually going to do in real time. So now we just insert them into the correct hole. You're going to have to loosen the nuts on them just to make sure that we have enough space. And these are very important that you want to never seize as well, because these bolts will seize together, the nuts to the anchor. We don't want that to happen because there's so much pressure that's going on these anchors. So what you're going to notice in this back portion is you have a big slot and a small slot. So naturally, you're going to slide the bolt into the big, slide it down, and now it's locked into place. Now we put our washer on the outside, and we're going to put our nut to seal it together. So very easy demobilization or to decompress it. We will obviously do this vice versa. But again, you stick it through the big portion, you wiggle it until it files down. Now it's locked into place. Now we put our washer. Now we put our nut on. Now we're secure. Now we didn't tighten anything yet. This is just to get the process started. Compression. How we want to tighten this door. You will see that there is different variations in the gasket compression. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. What we're going to do is we're going to tighten the bottom one first, and then we're going to match that compression throughout the entire door to make sure that we're completely level, plumb, and square throughout the compression process. This is fully deployed, and now we're going to go into the retraction mode, where we will loosen all of our nuts and bolts, remove them, slide the gate back, remove both tracks, and now it's fully functioning for the oxygen tanks for when the people have to come in here and refill for the infrastructure of the hospital. And now to remove the bolts, you don't even have to remove the nut at this point because it's already been compressed. What you're going to do is just slide it out. You're going to lift the back portion up and out of the big portion of the hole. Now we're going to loosen it lift, put the bolt right out. Now, what we do, we keep the nuts on them, so there is no confusion on where the hardware is. Once this thing comes out, our box is fully open. We don't have to worry about space. Drop them right into our box. Now we're unbolted. There's nothing we have to do here. But after a flood does come, water's going to be compressed on that outside. What I would do, I was hose everything down with just some fresh water just to clean it down. And if these wind up sticking, I would just, again, spray these areas down because you never know what kind of weather you're going to get, whether it's going to be hot out, whether it's going to be cold. It's cold now. So if we had a deployment and it snowed on top of this, these gaskets might want to stick to this frame. So at the end of the day, we want to hose all this out. We never want to stick a screwdriver in there or any kind of sharp object to make it pop off, to make it free. We want to keep this completely level and flat. So just spray it down with fresh water and everything should pop free. Now we're going to slide the door open. Same way we opened it. Now we're just going to close it. And again, once you hit the stoppers on this side, the door will stop where it needs to stop. Boom, right there. In order to slide the door a tad bit so we can put all the hardware back into the box. So what we'll do, we'll take out each of the anchors that we have in place right now, but we will keep the track down, meaning this track here that the door slides on. This we will fully remove, put the hardware back in the box. These anchors we will remove, but we will keep the track in place, again, so we can slide the door back, put the hardware back in, and now we're completely done. So now we unscrewed all of these sill anchors. So now this flood-proofing sill is now completely movable. So what we'll do is we will take it out of place, put it back in the storage unit. Now it should slide right out, just as you showed. Remove this track yet because we still have to slide the door open in order to put all the hardware back into its storage box. All right, so now we removed all the hardware. Now we're just going to briefly slide the door over. This will hold enough weight without the hardware in it to give us enough space. So this is fully okay. And you'll see around this back end, you'll have access to our storage container box. This is where all the hardware will live for each deployment. All the hardware is in place. We will slide the door back and lock it. So what we're going to do, we're going to lock it into place before we even step foot in front. This is our storage box with all our hardware. Locking device. Just slide it into place. Now we're locked into place. Okay, we could put a padlock here. This is what we went with just so in case anyone wanted to do it. Okay. Now that the door is locked in place, we know for a fact it's not going to ever slide this way. So now it's safe enough to remove the track. Now that's what we'll do. Again, we'll just pick the track up. We'll throw it right in the back of the truck. And these are going to live in the storage box that we have here on site. So nothing gets lost, nothing gets stolen, nothing gets broken. Now we have deployed, we have retracted, and now we are in the maintenance mode of preserving what we have installed here. So now we're going to put our cap screws into our sleeve anchors that hold the anchors to hold everything into place. All right. These keep ice out, debris, salt, dirt, any kind of debris that can get in here. These are protective screws, stainless steel that we put in there. We don't want these getting stuck in there. So we always apply Never Seez into these holes. And this is the last step of the process. So once all these are in place, we are completely done. And now this is fully open to the public, to whoever needs to come into this space.